Honourable Carl McGinn.
Thanks, Madam President, and I rise too just to briefly put my comments on the record in regards to this motion. I reflect just pretty quickly on the speakers already on this motion, and the Honourable Jackie Boydell, who obviously is in the same electorate as me, and I think touched on very clearly that there had been plenty of consultation and the expert panel travelling up and down the mining and pastoral electorate. The inquiry, there's been so much discussion about it from every parliamentary office across our electorate. I've put surveys out myself and had plenty of feedback on that. I think for me it comes down to the fact that I spoke in my second reading speech around an Indigenous navigator. I'm waiting to hear that response from the government when they give the second reading response, because I do acknowledge that we need to tread very carefully in this space and make sure that there is understanding, because when there is a minority group that does have a history of disadvantage within the health system, the last thing that I want to do is be part of a bill that creates a bigger issue. But I also think that we have a really good capability within the regions with plenty of Aboriginal organisations that work closely on the ground within communities. Bega out in Kalgoorlie is a prime example. The work they do in the Indigenous space is second to none, and they have a really big understanding. And what I'm hoping to hear from the government, and I will be, if I don't get it in the second reading response, I will be pressing further into the committee stage, is to make sure that when they do the implementation that all the Indigenous groups are brought in. It's not the select groups and some are missing out, because as the Honourable Robin Chappell said, there is heaps of different groups and some talk to each other and some don't. That needs to be considered within that implementation stage, and I believe it will be. I think the government's taking a very responsible approach to it, but I think the main thing is that when someone's in need of a navigator, that it is culturally appropriate. It's not, say, a Noongar from Perth dealing with Martu out in Kalgoorlie. That's some of the key things that I'm hoping to get commitments from with the government. I don't think taking this off again to look at that is going to get much more clearer than what we're going to get in the implementation stage when the resources are on the ground. And I also think, listening to a lot of the speeches throughout this debate, I think it's critical that I've come to realise that palliative care, regardless of how great that's going to be, there still seems to be a need for some people. The best palliative care ever, there's still some people that's not going to help with pain and etc. So looking into the palliative care specifically, I think you'll find the same things we already know with palliative care, and other members have said already that there is going to be a key focus, and I think a lot of members in this chamber will continue to focus on palliative care moving forward if this bill does pass. And I think it'll be under the microscope a lot more than what it ever has been before, and I think that's a great thing for palliative care, particularly in the regions. So I can't support the motion, and I'll leave it there.